From cold-blooded murder to toxic mind games, Yellowstone has it all. But it's complicated. So grab your cowboy hat and get ready, because we're taking a look at the Yellowstone scenes that didn't age well. In the Season 2 episode Resurrection Day, the level of violence we've become accustomed to on Yellowstone rises to a new level. As the only daughter of the Duttons, Beth is known for her bold personality, which usually takes the form of fiery comebacks and an abrasive attitude. It's almost a surprise then when she's attacked at her office. As Rip desperately tries to reach Beth before it's too late, 2 masked men sent by Malcolm Beck storm the premises hoping to scare her.
All that tough talk, Beth. I've got the cure for that. We'll see how tough you are after I give it to you.
What's most notable about this scene is just how violent it is. A fearful Beth is left bloodied and vulnerable in the grip of both men. That's not to say she doesn't fight back. She tries to gouge their eyes out and throws them through glass walls. The fight is a testament to the fact that Yellowstone is willing to go there, but also that it can take its grittiness too far. What's more, it doesn't send a great message about violence against women. Although it's commendable to show what can actually happen so explicitly, it's also a straight-up brutal watch. The most heartbreaking moment comes when Beth lets herself cry. The tough, gritty exterior she spent a lifetime building up temporarily broken. There are few people who inspire more fear on the ranch than Lloyd Pierce. He might even outstrip the infamously brutal Rip Wheeler in this department. In the Season 4 episode Winning or Learning, the stage is set for an incredibly questionable brawl, with Rip setting Lloyd against Walker. While Lloyd maintains the upper hand, the pair go for round 2 a few episodes later, with Lloyd beating Walker to a pulp in the middle of the ranch. To teach Lloyd a lesson, Rip smashes his hand with the boot. Though it's unsurprising to see a Yellowstone brawl in such gory detail, it doesn't age well within the big picture of Rip's character development. His violent outburst is his own fault, something he quickly seems to realize as he leaves Lloyd bleeding.
There's no fighting on this ranch. You want to fight somebody, you come fight me. I'll fight you all day.
Beyond the brutality lies the question of whether or not this lesson is necessary, or if Rip overdid it. Even though the fight sets Rip up for a juicy redemption arc, it does a disservice to the storylines and relationship that come before it. Though uncomfortable scenes often contain great messages, that doesn't make them any easier to watch. In the Season 3 episode I Killed a Man Today, Monica finds herself in trouble after catching a ride with a known predator. After trying to persuade her to leave the vehicle to get better phone service, he becomes violent and forcefully restrains her on the ground. But Monica has put herself in the line of fire in the name of a sting. A sniper swiftly brings the predator to his arguably deserved end. While it's admirable for Yellowstone to take on the issue of violence against Indigenous women, the scene has some questionable side effects. Simply put, it's terrible to watch. And the scene reinforces the idea that women need to relive their trauma for the sake of the greater good. Monica is visibly shaken by what she's gone through. She's strong, but even the most rock-solid person would be rattled by such an encounter. Opening up emotional wounds is commonplace on Yellowstone, but it could, perhaps, be handled more sensitively. As far as the Yellowstone universe goes, Sheriff Donnie Haskell wasn't a major player. Throughout the first 4 seasons, his questionable morals and alliance with the Dutton family often fade into the background. That being said, his sudden death takes viewers by surprise and leads to moments that are excruciating to watch. In No Kindness for the Coward, John and Rip get involved in a diner holdup. Mid-robbery, John storms in from the back kitchen to try and take out the thieves, and Donnie gets caught in the crossfire, taking a fatal blow to the throat. To make matters worse, Donnie tries to call his daughter, only managing to get a few words out before he dies. John is left to tell Donnie's daughter what's happened. The final moments of the scene are incredibly intense and especially hard to watch for anyone who's suddenly lost a loved one. And afterward, audiences are left with the knowledge that Donnie's death could have been prevented if John and Rip hadn't gotten involved. Is the scene just a case of someone playing the hero for their own reasons? If so, that's seriously, perhaps unnecessarily, wrenching. Like the Montagues and Capulets of Romeo and Juliet, the ongoing war between the Duttons and Becks is never-ending. It's also a linchpin of the Yellowstone story.
I'm not gonna lose this one, Rip. Not this one.
By the time fans get to Season 2's Sins of the Father, the feud is well established. Many of the Becks have met a grisly end at the hands of the Duttons, but no death is more unnecessary or confusing than Teal's sudden demise. As Casey sneaks into his house, he finds an unsuspecting Teal on the toilet and shoots him. As Casey watches him die, he tells Teal he promised his wife to kill him in the most humiliating way possible. As far as humiliation goes, the scene hits the nail on the head. The whole sequence is awkward and excruciating to watch, not to mention fairly irrelevant to the bigger story. There's no doubt Teal brought this misery on himself, but couldn't he die with dignity intact? Somewhere between funny and hard-hitting, the scene finds itself in an emotional no man's land that leaves viewers confused and embarrassed. Sibling rivalry is at the heart of any good family drama, but the tension between Beth and Jamie is unique. The intensity of their hatred is palpable from the very first episode, but the reason behind it isn't revealed in Season 3's Cowboys and Dreamers. In a flashback sequence, teenage Beth confides in Jamie that she needs to hide a pregnancy. Jamie takes her out of town for an abortion, but neglects to mention that it will leave her infertile.
You don't want to do this here. A requirement of patients receiving an abortion at this clinic is sterilization.
It goes without saying that exploring pregnancy and abortion on TV is going to be contentious. Regardless, in the eyes of many viewers, this scene takes things too far. Some fans find the storyline outright insulting, while some medical professionals take issue with its inaccuracy. It doesn't take long for Yellowstone to establish exactly what kind of show it is. In the opening moments of the pilot, audiences are introduced to John Dutton, currently in the middle of trying to protect his ranch from land developers. A stream of blood runs down John's face as he tries to comfort a suffering horse, then puts it out of its misery. We later learn that it's all a result of a nasty traffic accident. There's something about seeing an animal suffer that hits extra hard.
Things we lose to keep you fed.
Yellowstone stars have had to clarify that the show doesn't abuse animals, but PETA has actively encouraged viewers to boycott the show. For some viewers, the opening scene is a questionable introduction to the series as a whole. When it comes to Rip's wrath on Yellowstone, no one is safe. Characters take their well-being into their own hands when they decide to cross the Dutton family, and Season 3's Meaner Than Evil shows just how terrible the consequences can be.
That son of a bitch has something belongs to me and I want it back.
As a major antagonist across multiple seasons, Wade Morrow quickly loses the respect of the family, especially once he's accused of stealing. After betraying the Duttons and their ranch, Wade is tracked down by Rip and murdered in the middle of nowhere. As a branded worker, Wade also has his brand cut off before his body is dumped. Yellowstone routinely pushes the boundaries for what can be shown on cable TV, but this scene might just take the biscuit. Viewers without the stomach for gore will definitely need to look away, as close-ups of the brand removal, paired with Wade's painful cries and the knife sound effects, are a lot to take.
Mister, I don't know you, but if you're wearing that brand, you must be a bad man. These want it back, you must be even worse.
Even though the series is set in the present day, the violence feels uncomfortably old-fashioned, bordering on barbaric. As arguably the most agonizing death in Yellowstone so far, this scene is one of the show's most shocking moments. In Season 2's Blood the Boy, after Jamie tries to recant his statement while cooperating with Sarah's campaign to expose corruption on the Dutton Ranch, the two find themselves alone.
You're not the first source to have second thoughts, but we're way past that point.
Things quickly get ugly. Sarah tells him that his family deserves to lose everything, and Jamie is enraged. In a fury, he smashes Sarah's head into the roof of their nearby car. As if that wasn't bad enough, he finishes the job off by strangling Sarah as she lies helplessly on the ground. Although it goes without saying that Sarah doesn't deserve to die, the way Jamie goes about killing her makes the situation even worse. With a chilling stare, Jamie leans into his dark side with no hesitation. "I'm so sorry," he repeats as he strangles Sarah. But does that matter? In fact, the dialogue makes it even more uncomfortable to watch. No matter what he's saying, Jamie commits a horrific act. By the time viewers get to Season 3, there's just one catastrophe missing from the Duttons' lives: a life-threatening explosion. The episode, The World is Purple, delivers that missing link, with Beth's assistant losing her life by opening a package that also sets Beth's office ablaze. The hit on the Dutton family doesn't stop there. Casey narrowly escapes being gunned down, while John is nearly the victim of a drive-by shooting. It's incredible that any family members survive the episode, let alone all of them, but while the action might seem far-fetched, it's the gratuitous deaths that call this scene into question. In the case of Beth's office, it doesn't make much sense for her assistant to be killed off. Not only does her loss seem completely unnecessary, it also puts the spotlight back on the show's tendency to depict extreme violence against women. If the creators wanted this episode to have maximum impact, surely a Dutton needed to be lost along the way. Context tells us everything, and when it comes to the Dutton family, a lot needs to be unpacked in order to understand their dysfunctional relationships. A hefty chunk of Yellowstone Season 5 is devoted to digging into the family's history, with the episode The Dream Is Not Me focusing on John Dutton's rise to the top. While John doesn't really change throughout the series, We learn how his toxic personality has infected Rip, who has never been able to lie to him. Teenage Rip was at odds with a boy called Rowdy over Beth around the same time. He knocks Rowdy to the ground with a boulder, truly copying the behavior he's grown up around all his life. In essence, this is a masterclass in how to be a terrible person. Though Yellowstone features plenty of rough and tumble guys, toxic masculinity is likely not a character choice that's going to age well.
I feel like I shouldn't be watching, but I can't stop.
It's riveting.
Not only do viewers see Rip forced to make a choice that could have easily been avoided, but John is also complicit because he gave Rip the brand that set him on a path of no return. Though the relationship between the pair is undoubtedly interesting, Rip's choice to murder Rowdy, and the way he does it, is perhaps an unnecessary addition to the problems that are already woven into the show. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE-4673.